Hello everyone, TheMrTrails here, and in today's video we have Dauntless 1.13.0. This update includes Gauntlet Season 2, which comes with brand new Gauntlet level modifiers and new rewards, including 3 more new cells. And these cells are crazy, absolutely meta-changing cells this time, one of which is going to be the new best cell in the game. You'll have to stick around to see what these cells do, but for now let's explore what this patch has to offer. Drop a like for me, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and let's get into it. Let's begin with discussing the general things that are new with Gauntlet Season 2. First off, each of the arenas in Old Ramsgate have been expanded. This means there's more room for the fights to happen, and it also means that the arenas can now hold 2 behemoths each. Looking at the new arena after playing so much of the old map size, it feels like there's something wrong with my FOV, but we'll get used to that. I think my main complaint with a bigger arena size though is that the behemoths are going to be more likely to heal because they will almost always be on the edge of the arenas. Fingers crossed that they do something about behemoths just going to heal all the time soon, because it's really annoying, and it's been a pretty major issue ever since the Reforged update. But next up we have new level modifiers for Season 2, and these will drastically change the pacing of the mode. The first modifier is Unshakable, and with this, behemoths cannot be staggered, and this does include no part break flinches at all. Interrupts should still work, but I'm not sure about shock procs. That's kind of hard to test solo, but as you can imagine, this will slow down certain cycles quite a bit, but not as much as Vitality. But our second new modifier will greatly speed up several other cycles, because it's not just one cycle modifier, it's 7 different cycle modifiers that basically do the same thing. And this is the Weapon Master modifier, and with it, the chosen weapon of that cycle will deal double damage, while the other weapons deal half as much damage. And from what I can tell, this does appear to be a straight up 2x multiplier to your damage output, which is just insane, and a straight up 0.5 multiplier to the other weapons, which is quite terrible. So you'll basically be required to play those weapons on those cycles. It would be interesting to see though if you might still want to run one pike on the team in spite of this for that extra crit chance from Savage Wellspring. Squad play usually sees the pike sacrificing damage for the benefit of the other weapons anyway, so I'm curious if dealing basically 0 damage is worth the trade-off of running it. I think this is a solid modifier addition, but I really don't like how it means you basically have to keep every weapon at level 20 if you're going to do a prolonged Gauntlet run. I would hope we either get the ability to do a full reforge on the XP bank, or have our weapon power normalized in Gauntlet like it is for Trials, because otherwise we basically aren't going to be able to reforge until our team just hits a wall in Gauntlet. And that wall will probably be in a long while. Let's talk about the cycle structure here. I'll have a second video out either today or tomorrow that goes over the entire Gauntlet structure in more detail here, but the too long couldn't include in this video version of this is Gauntlet will be somewhat easier but also somewhat harder this season. The fights on the levels themselves are structured to be quite a bit more annoying and difficult. For example, level 20 of each cycle is going to be the same as last time, but instead having the heroic versions of the escalation bosses, except for the Chronivore, as well as there's a level with Savit, Phalanx, and Thunderdeep Drask all on one level. But even though the fights are going to be on the more annoying side, you do have to think we have the Weapon Master modifiers, so it will make the fights with these behemoths more bearable because we're dealing double damage. So with a full squad dealing double damage, the fights being more difficult probably won't be that big of a deal, except for on the cycles where we don't have the Weapon Master modifiers, because there are going to be cycles like that. But the more casual guilds should have a relatively better time than last season getting through a lot of the levels, because this time the Vitality modifier doesn't make an appearance until level 621. So for the guilds that don't quite have a large number of top Trials players, you should be able to get plenty of the rewards if you just have a number of solid players. And even the guilds that do have a lot of top Trials players, it will be a challenge to even make it to this Vitality level in the first place, because by then there's only 4 minutes and 30 seconds to start the hunts, and literally the second level has a Fenrir on round 2. And the part health scaling at this point is going to be absurd, so even if we did make it there, we might only complete the first level of it. But leading up to that point, the Weapon Master modifiers are going to make the levels a little bit easier, so we'll have to see what happens. But next up, let's talk about the new rewards for Season 2 of Gauntlet. Just like last season, you're going to have unique titles that you will get based on how well your guild does in Gauntlet. But these are going to be different titles than last season, and these ones are going to be all about the naming puns that you can make between Gauntlet and Dauntless. For guilds with at least one level of Gauntlet completed, you will get the title Dauntless. For the guilds that get top 100 for Gauntlet Season 2, you will get the Gauntmore title. And for the top 5 guilds, you will get the Gauntless title. These titles are kind of funny, so maybe there'll be some extra competition. Now let's talk about crests, and the crests that you earned in Season 1 will be converted to these broken crest things, and with those you'll be able to buy these cells from Season 1. They'll be in their own tab called Last Chance, and you'll only be able to buy them for the next 2 weeks after the Season 1 ends. However, you can't buy anything else with them, so if you want more weapon trackers instead of those cells, then you'll have to make sure that you spend all of your crests before the end of the season tomorrow, because in order to buy more weapon trackers, you will then need the Season 2 Gauntlet currency. And with Season 2, we are getting 6 new weapon trackers. The Fauna Slain tracker is going to record how many fauna you've killed, show everyone how you take your anger issues out on Gurkrooks, and show everyone how bad you are at the game with the Times Downed tracker. This will record the number of times you reach 0 HP and go down with that weapon equipped. The Parts Broken tracker is going to track the number of behemoth parts that you yourself have broken, meaning it won't count if your squad members break it. But your squad members will be able to help you with the unique Gauntlet levels completed tracker, as it would suggest, tracks the number of Gauntlet levels completed with that particular weapon. Similarly, the Island Events completed tracker is going to record the number of island events you've completed in the hunting grounds with that weapon. And for you axe mains out there, the biggest hit tracker is going to keep track of the single biggest hit that you have achieved with that weapon. And I do believe this should be core damage, so your 200,000 part damage hit isn't going to show up as being that much. So we've got some cool new weapon trackers this season. However, you're probably going to want to hold off on getting those because these new cells are good. So if you couldn't tell from last season, the Gauntlet cells are following naming schemes. The last season we had Stop, Drop, and Roll, and this season we have Reduce, Reuse, and Recycle. Reduce is a power/brutality cell, Reuse is a utility/insight cell, and Recycle is a technique/finesse cell. Reduce is probably the worst one of them, and that's saying something because it's not actually downright terrible. It just has a major drawback that makes it a not always include type cell. As the name would suggest, Reduce is going to reduce your attack speed. This will be by 15% at +3 and by 30% at +6, but it gives you a rather large damage increase in return. At +3 it gives 20% damage, and at +6 it gives 50% damage. But this cell would find its main use case if you were going well above the attack speed cap. Like we're talking repeaters, catalyst, and tonics on a Riftstalker weapon perhaps, and you're a squad that has wounding available. Like you're going to need a lot of attack speed to make this cell worth it, and it's probably not going to happen. Going over by 15% isn't too hard, but you get the main value out of the cell at the +6 value, so you need to find a way to get 30% over the attack speed cap for it to be useful, which I think would mainly be happening in like a Terra escalation. You get go time plus the shock elemental thing plus all of those other attack speed bonuses we've already said. So this cell's use case would be extremely niche, but if you can pull it off, it would be good in that case. But with the new reuse cell, there is going to be a rather good new source of attack speed, and we finally have another really good utility cell. With this cell, if you help break a behemoth part, you'll have a chance to give your entire team a 20% attack speed bonus, this chance increasing with the higher strengths of the cell. At +3, you have a 30% chance for that attack speed bonus, and at +6, you have a 90% chance for that attack speed bonus. However, if that percent chance does not activate, you will gain a 10% attack speed bonus for yourself, and in either case, the attack speed bonus lasts for 30 seconds. So if you guys remember how I've been saying Molten is the best non-catalyst utility cell for a while, that time is over. This is 100% the best utility cell outside of Catalyst. And you know what? This cell might actually get me to stop using tonics in regular gameplay. This cell is that good. When you pair this with a +3 Assassin's Frenzy, that is quite literally on average just as good as using the Blitz tonic with Catalyst. And when that 30% chance goes off, it'll actually be performing better than Catalyst at that rate with the same perk summary investment. I'm pretty sure Catalyst will still be preferred in trials, because usually the part breaks in a trial are going to take quite a while to happen, and you won't be having any bonus attack speed until you break apart, so it probably won't win out versus just using a Catalyst build normally. But with the lower power game modes in Hunting Grounds and Escalation, if you're able to get that part break quick enough, it'll actually very closely rival Catalyst. The main difference is that you don't have that Aether Drive tonic up or that extra damage bonus. I'll do some testing to see if it's even worth running Catalyst at this point anymore, and even if you are running tonics, you just use them without Catalyst instead. But if you don't use tonics at all, this is easily the best utility cell you can get, and it's going to work well even at a +1. So you can literally just do the first level of Gauntlet if you want, get that cell, and be done. But you're probably going to want to do more than that because of this next cell. If you thought that cell was good, this next one, it becomes the best cell in the game. The new Recycle cell is now hands down the best cell in the entire game, period. Such high praise, but what does it do? Dealing damage to the same part consecutively grants a 10% damage bonus per hit. This will stack up to 3 times at +3 and up to 6 times at +6, meaning this will be a 60% damage bonus when hitting the same part. The stacks will have a 30-second duration, so there's not much pressure at all to keep attacking if you need to heal or retonic or something. So you guys know how Berserker is one of the best cells in the game right now? Well, this cell is basically that, but doubled. And it doesn't have that minus HP downside that conflicts with Revenant. It does have a downside with Revenant, and that is that Revenant will reset the stacks when it does not hit that part. Same goes for the other Omnicell activations. But the first and maybe the second tendril will actually get that 60% damage bonus as well, so it's really not that bad. But maintaining these stacks of recycle, and therefore maintaining a 60% damage bonus, is going to become pivotal to top level gameplay. Accidentally hitting a different part at the wrong time is going to cost you several seconds on a trial run. Losing Berserker stacks at a 35% damage bonus was enough to cost you several seconds. But here's the good news, there basically has to be a skill issue happen for these stacks to reset. I tested all of the lanterns, a lot of the unique effects and attacks that you might think might reset it, and almost none of them reset the stacks. So this is Trails from the future here, and all of the tests that I did on what affects it and what doesn't are basically irrelevant now. So there was a really huge bug with it where basically whenever you died, you kept that number of stacks forever. With that and another bug being fixed, there was also something done with how unique effects interact with it. So if I'm understanding what I'm being told correctly, then every unique effect that would benefit off of the damage from it would reset the stacks if it hits another part. So in my initial testing, things like Frostwolf, Savit, Karabac, all of those didn't affect it, but I think based on what I'm being told now that they will be affected when it goes live. But my test server isn't updated with that yet, so I'm not entirely sure what will affect it and what won't. The good news is lanterns won't affect it, so you can run whatever lantern you want to. But some more good news, if it seems like the unique effect change here makes it not strong enough that they will actually end up reverting that, so the cell would be better, because it seems like they actually really want these cells to be meta. And who knows, we might get a buff so that reduce would become meta as well. But as it stands, I think even if all of the unique effects end up affecting it, then this cell will still be meta in a lot of cases. But it will benefit some weapons more than others. Repeaters are obviously going to have a huge benefit from it. Pike is also going to be very good. Maybe on some behemoths, even the poking playstyle will be better than spend to win. I'm not sure if the change that was made would affect how strikers or hammer behave with it, but if it doesn't, then strikers and hammer are fine to use it with. We'll have to see when it's live. I'll probably make a follow-up video going through basically everything, seeing what affects it and what doesn't. But that's the main gameplay stuff. Let's talk about the Hunt Pass and the reward cache. And if you guys are planning on making any premium purchases, consider using my supporter creator code TheMrTrails. Make sure the A is before the I. The Slayer Commission Pass will have its typical goodies in it, with the end levels granting you Pathfinder coins, this season's reward cache currency. Our first cosmetic pass is the Austrian Rangers Hunt Pass, which has the cosmetics from the previous Wild Thunder Hunt Pass, originally from July 2021. And our other cosmetic pass is the Battle Academy Hunt Pass, sporting the cosmetics originally from the Zephyr Strike Hunt Pass from August of 2019. And in the reward cache, we will have the first Slayer and Heroic armors, originally from the Myth and Legends Hunt Pass from December of 2019. And in other miscellaneous news, we actually have those PC hotkeys that they were talking about a couple patches ago, including that one for the mastery screen. And they've changed the positioning of the kick and leave guild button to make it harder to do accidentally, as well as giving you a confirmation pop-up if you do accidentally hit it still. A basic quality of life thing, but I'm sure several guilds will appreciate that stuff. And if you attempt to equip a new weapon tracker on a place that already has a weapon tracker, there will also be a confirmation pop-up for that. And they fixed a bug with the Trials leaderboard not displaying the correct number of goals that were completed in that trial run. And apparently they fixed one of the issues with weapon trackers, giving you an incorrect placeholder if you switched between weapons. But that's gonna about do it for the 1.13.0 patch. I will be live on Twitch tomorrow doing the new Gauntlet levels and hopefully playing around with the new cells, so hope to see you there. And be sure to drop a like for me, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. I have been Trevor, I go by TheMrTrails, and I will catch you guys next time.